was present at the Transportation Committee meeting and indicated that they were going to be doing some updating on surveys and all that about the status of the line, and we have them back here to give us an update that they can give us, and I guess we may have some questions for them. So what we will do is we'll let the MTA speak first, and then when they're finished, we'll take questions from people in the public, and then the board members can ask questions. It should be pretty informal because we got such a small group. So should I,
sure.
Marcus Book from MTA. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah, guys, good morning, good evening. My name is Marcus Book. I'm an Assistant Director in Government and Community Relations at New York City Transit, and I'm here to kind of follow up on last year's meeting concerning the 102. I'm not sure, I'm curious as to how things are doing because we have made some adjustments. They did, after the meeting last year, go out and take a look at the line, and the schedules department made some adjustments to the schedule that involved adding running time, which is actually travel time, to improve the reliability of the service, and to improve reliability of schedule adherence, so that the scheduled travel times more accurately reflect actual travel times. So I'm hoping that, and that went into effect in January of this year. So I'm hoping post-January 5th of this year that you've seen some improvement, and I guess you'll tell me that when we do the Q&A. Ridership on the 102 remains low, and as you know, our schedule is dictated by ridership. So not much has changed with respect to frequency of service and things like that. Let's see. I noticed that road operations, which I have someone's here from road operations. You can just introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Charles Massell. I'm in road operations. I usually handle this area here in the evening, at night.
Okay. And road operations is pretty pleased with the schedule adjustments. They've noticed that things are operating a lot smoother. I do notice that the red bus, the REAC red bus, will be fare-free starting April 1st, which will lessen the wait for the Q102 because people will gravitate to that, hopefully. Also, as you know, and REAC knows, the Cornell Medical Center project that's going on at the end of the island is sort of begun. I believe they began construction in January. Am I correct? Well, they closed down.
They're still doing
They set the site up in January. We've been in contact with them, and we have worked out a system where we will be able to run our turnaround and serve the park during the summer. They're going to build a turnaround for us that's appropriate. I was talking to a gentleman, Mr. Oppenheimer, earlier, and he explained to me that there may be some issues with clearance with the north and south traffic, and I'm going to take that information back to Cornell and say, guys, okay, we need to make some adjustments so that there's no accidents or any conflicts. So with respect to this, that is the area that was covered last year, and I guess the most useful thing at this point would be to just take some questions. You guys let me know how things are doing.
Does your colleague want to say anything?
I think he'll respond to any operational issues that come up.
Frank, you want
Thank you.
to please identify yourself?
My name is Frank France. I'm a resident on the island here. I also chair the Roosevelt Island Residents Association Planning Committee. Okay, and we, along with Aaron Hamburger, who's the chair of another committee, Island Services, we work with Cy Opperman and basically a focal point for the planning and operation for the bus services. Okay, so one of the things I noticed on the Queen side is that they have those nice schedule things on the poles there.
Right.
You're right. And I've actually been on the Q102 and tried to figure out what the schedule was because I found myself dropped in Astoria somewhere, and it just wasn't. 511 was the long process, and because I'm going to Main Street and there is no cross street,
Right.
the whole interactive voice response system, the IVR, doesn't work well for Roosevelt Island people in a sense of trip planning. Okay, so having that schedule information there would be, I think, fairly helpful also in improving ridership, because I moved here in 1980, spring of 80, and back in those days, there was a lot more frequent service with, I think it was Triborough Coach, I think at the time, and so it was sort of a regular thing that you could count on. Now it's not something I think that many residents get into their mind, because the schedule is pretty, the frequency of buses.
25 minutes.
And I understand that, and I'm not complaining about that. But I'm saying I think if you could put up those signs.
And there's not a guided ride on the island.
Not a single.
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
yeah.
Outside the post office.
There is also one at the Yonge.
Down by the tram too.
And
I don't see any of them around here.
Well,
Around me.
Yeah.
Around me, down there.
I guess.
But I'm not going to walk to the Octagon to
no,
find out what the schedule is.
All right,
Okay.
I will inquire and find out what the.
And the second thing I was going to say is, as someone who's also, Mr. Opperman can certainly provide more authoritative data, but my impression is that even with the red bus, that's not going to diminish significantly the number of passengers. The way people decision make on this is, if they see the bus there and they got to go, they're going to take the bus. Okay, it's not like they're looking at the bus and saying, "Gee, that's $2.50 or whatever it is on their Metro card versus a quarter." It's not a price sensitive thing, it's a convenience thing. So if the bus is there, they are going to take it.
Other questions? Other questions? Yes, sir.
Marcus and Charles, maybe I could just inform the board and everybody that's here on what we were speaking about. Because,
Could you just give us your name?
my name is Cy Opperman.
Okay.
I'm Director of Operations for Roosevelt Island. I was in charge, I was the General Manager of Transportation, and I was just, now I'm Director of the island now, okay? So I'd just like to enlighten you on a couple of things, all right? Number one, no due respect, to the MTA. Again, you great time there for 32 years, all right? I started as a bus operator, made it all the way up to General Superintendent, and took over many depots for him. But we do have some problems with the MTA. We have some problems. A little tweaking with the Q102 would help. We spoke about bus stop down at the tram. One of the things that I was speaking to Mark was that we could get that Q102 to go up the hill to the tram to pick up people, not just at the bottom of the hill. If everybody remembers, it was a fight and a half for me when I first got here for 3 years to try to get that bus to stop at the tram. For some unknown reason, powers to be, always wanted it down at the bottom.
Did
So we got that out.
What do you mean? I've been here for 35 years and I don't know what you mean by up the hill, down the hill. So could you?
You ever use a tram?
All the time?
All right, you get off the tram, where's the bus stop?
Well, there's a bus shelter right at the base of the tram. There's a bus shelter down at the corner on Main Street, behind the.
there's no more shelter there.
Oh, it's not
Hasn't
there.
been there in over a
Okay,
year.
so it's the only stop now? I walk there all the time.
All right, so let's go back a while. How about a year ago? Where'd you get the red bus?
I was walked,
Oh,
so
all right. Well, a lot of people can't walk.
I
And
understand.
you have the elderly people on this island that were walking down the hill, slipping and sliding in the wintertime
Down the hill from Main
on
Street.
the tram, on Main Street. You got off the tram, you made a left, and you had to go down the hill to get the red bus.
Right,
Okay.
towards the river.
If I may ask you
Yeah.
something, you're talking about using when the roadway is closed and we have to use the west roadway.
Right.
You're saying that we should go up, the 102 would be going up to the tram, making the right up to the
Yeah,
circle,
right up to the
and
circle.
then go back around and go
Same
back
way
down
we
again?
do, yeah. The main reason for that is because when the red bus gets up there, all right, we're picking up a seated load at our surge time is in the PM side. There's a lot of people that are on that tram that have a
Unlimited.
The unlimited, or they have a transfer on their card. So they could utilize that transfer that's on that card. Instead of waiting for the red bus, they could get on it, swipe, and they got a free ride, and they could go northbound. The other issue is that if, once you turn around and you go up to the subway, and my red bus is behind the Q102, you'll get half of the people that are waiting at that stop because they also have a transfer on their card. So ridership we can build up on the Q102 if we have a decent schedule where the schedule interact with the red bus.
And where do you want the 102 bus to stop now?
Every stop where the red bus stops.
Okay. Well, before Cornell started construction, you guys would go down the east roadway and come around to Kohler, and that's where you would lay over. And then you would come right up Main Street.
That's right.
Right now, you can't do that.
Well, we're going beyond, past the tram. I
Right.
don't know what that
Sports
roadway
bar.
is, just,
Sports bar.
is it? It's
Okay.
gated. So
Right.
it's a right turn there to the west roadway and then back up again.
Okay. So you don't pass directly in front of the tram as the
No.
red bus does? Okay, I got you now.
Okay, just so you know, when I talked to Si earlier,
Yeah.
I asked him to put the specifics down of
Right.
what he's really looking to do, and then I'll take that back now, but just have him take a look.
Aside, when you came back, when you originally testified in April in front of the Transportation Committee, there were a number of points that you
Was that at Memorial?
no, it was, where was it? It was, well, it was run up in front of the Transportation Committee.
It was an MSK.
You had specific points that you had raised, and I think it's beneficial for the committee members who were not there to know which are the ones that, if any, which are the ones that were addressed and which ones were not addressed, if any, and then
And we
and
have
then we can
minutes.
right, and then we can proceed from there, because I think it'd be beneficial both
Right.
for the
I don't-
community to
I-
understand where you're
Right.
coming from, and then also the history of it, and also see
Right.
where the MTA is at that point, addressing those concerns.
Well, we did get, one thing that we did there, we got a lot more buses. I see them in the morning. And we do not have that bus going off island with an out of service sign any longer. All right, so that was like a big plus for the residents on the island. We had buses every once in a while going off. I don't think it was part of the schedule, you know what I mean? But I don't want to get into what I did as a bus operator, because I got to too. So, but basically, that does not happen anymore, because I monitor the buses in the morning, and I just make sure that everybody is picked up by the bridge when they want to go off island to Q102. Okay? As I said, if we could have all the Q102 stop at every bus stop on the island, which would help us. Okay? When it comes to AM service is great. Bus comes off the bridge, goes to the right, and all the people, where do they want to go? They want to go down to the tram, they want to go down to the subway, which is great. On the PM side, we do a flip. Where does our surge go? Our surge goes from the tram, subway, all the way north. So that's why I try to introduce at 3:30, the 3:30 Q102, to make a left-hand turn. Go down, start picking up the heavy amount of people that are at the tram, subway, and take the Octagon residents home. Because you have a lot of people up there that have to wait for that red bus. So you'll be providing extra service to 40 River Road and also the Octagon building for your PM side.
And Kohler.
And Kohler, I'm sorry. And that's the main thing, we gotta get everybody to work.
You're saying, so you're saying basically just reverse what's here now?
Yeah, exactly, on the PM. In other
On the
words, the
PM side.
AM's perfect.
Well,
Well,
that's going to be difficult.
no, I'm talking about surges. I'm talking about, you know.
No, I understand
where-
it. I
We gotta
understand
put the buses where the people are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So on the PM side, people are all, I'm sorry, I don't use the word people, our customers are down by the tram and the subway. And I did all the help I could get to get them past 40 River Road and get them up.
If I remember correctly, when Queens Surface had the 102,
Right.
I think they did a double loop, if I remember. They
Yeah.
went to the hospital,
Yeah,
to
but
the
that,
south, and then came back north, and then come off the island.
I know, but that wasn't done after 3:30. See, what happens with bus operators, I'm sure you drove, you know what I mean? once you get into these schedules, oh, am I supposed to make a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn? Oh, what time do I go to lunch? You know what I mean? Well, I think I'll make that left when I'm supposed to make a right. It can't be that way. It's just like recovery time. You don't need a lot of recovery time out here because your buses are getting lost down. And I'm sure if you come out there, you'll find them down at the end. You know what I mean?
So I try them on the islands at night.
Yeah, right, especially at night.
That's what I do at night.
So your recovery time, you could lessen and put your recovery time to half and use that time for running time. I think we're on the same page. It's not hard, you know what I mean? And I think the difference of where we could put the buses would help free up a lot. Right? And then again, buses going for free, you know what I mean? But like I said, if I was to run, if you want your revenue to go up, like I said, Marcus, I could run 3 buses with a 10-minute headway and you're gonna get more people. I could run 2 buses every 15 minutes with the express bus in the morning, you'll be packed. You know what I mean? So there is money out here. You know what I mean? It's just the idea that we run in a 7.5-minute headway in the morning with 1 express bus. And I don't want to get into bus operator culture or anything like that, but I know where to put a bus, I know where to sit a bus, and things to that nature. Okay? Thanks.
What would you suggest on weekends, though? How would they run?
Weekends is a rough one. See, on weekends, if I had the opportunity, I'd like to bring more people from Astoria and Long Island to Roosevelt Island. All right? Not so much moving them around on the island. We have to get people to come and visit more. You know what I mean? And if there was different places in Queens where we would have like nice signs up Roosevelt Island, visitor center for Judy. We could put Judy's picture up there in the visitor center. And but we have to get more people to come to us other than us taking them off the island. So if there was some way to do that, that would be really good.
I mean, which direction would they, you know, when they got down to the bottom of the ramp, where would they turn? Would they turn right and then come down to the tram, or would they go?
What do you need, a bus?
Yeah.
Oh, on the
Bus.
weekends? No, the regular way. Fine, it's fine the way it is.
Okay.
We could use a weekday schedule for Saturday and Sunday. But I'm just talking about Monday through Friday, doing that flip at 3:30. Okay? I took enough.
Anybody? Okay, let's
Break it in.
Rick O'Connor, I published the Roosevelt Islander online. One of the reasons you may have low ridership on Roosevelt Island on the Q102 is that it doesn't go anyplace in Queens that people really want to go to. You know, it goes over the bridge down Vernon, then makes a left by the bridge to Queens Plaza. If it went down Vernon Boulevard to the Borden Avenue, to the retail area of Long Island City, I think you'd find people from Roosevelt Island wanting to go off the island to other neighborhoods. And the same way, if you could go in another direction towards Astoria and towards Broadway and the Socrates Sculpture Park, if the 102 somehow could be arranged, or another bus.
You do have a 103, you realize you do have a 103 that runs along Vernon Boulevard, right?
It runs very infrequently, and it doesn't go onto Roosevelt. It doesn't go onto Roosevelt Island, and it also makes the left to 21st.
No, right, exactly, you're right, I know, it doesn't run on weekends.
Right, and that's when people might want to go to other neighborhoods on weekends. Right. And the 103 makes the same left to 21st Street.
Well, yeah, because he goes around the projects and
right.
goes back to Vernon.
Right, so I'm just suggesting that ridership would improve if there is a way giving Roosevelt Island residents easier access to Long Island City
Right.
To the right and Astoria to the left.
Right.
So that's just one.
So if you recall, one meeting that we did have is that the City Planning Commission is initiating their own studies of both the Queens Corridor and every form of transportation. We're actually having them come back in the spring, and they will be making the same type of suggestions there. I mean, I think the argument is appropriate, but it should be reiterated here, and then it will be part of the study as well that's being presented at the MTA, because the exact same thing, city planning has determined that corridor in itself, the underutilization of the bus measurements. So I would say to Rick, that's definitely a valid point, but it's also something that both this committee and city planning will be coming back with in the spring for. So.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Leah Matias. I'm the chief nurse at the Cold Goldwater facility. And we've gone through a lot of changes since November, since we moved from Goldwater. And as you know, we no longer have a shuttle that we used to have that picks up our staff from the subway station back to Kohler and Goldwater, making rounds on a regular basis, on half-an-hour basis. So we rely on the 102 on the red bus to get us back to the subway station or the tram. And this past few months have been very rough, not just the snow, but also our adjustments to relying mostly on 102 on the red bus. We didn't know how good it was when we had the shuttle.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, but now we had some, I'm speaking on behalf of our nursing staff that work 3 shifts, the morning shift, evening and night shift. And they rely on the 102, those who come from Queens. And their concern is sometimes the scheduled bus doesn't go all the way to Kohler. And it was some unpredictability in the way they pick up from the Kohler people, especially during those change of shift, which is in the morning it's between 7 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, and in the evening from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, onwards to 6 o'clock. So the Queens staff really rely solely, mostly on the 102 bus. Ones that come directly from Queens and the ones who take the subway from the from the Main Street area there onto Kohler. So we were hoping to have a frequency of pickup at Kohler. Since you no longer have to go to the wing of Goldwater, sometimes the Kohler loop is being missed somehow. And it's anecdotal. We don't have, I don't have data for you to substantiate any of those occasions. Only that your customers, and there's a big customer that you have at Kohler, even though we're only half the size now. There's more than 1,000 staff in there working in any given day. So, so you have upwards of 30 people waiting for 102 bus on different shifts.
Okay.
So if you could, if you're going to change over your scheduling, please don't forget Kohler. You have a lot of, done deal customers there because they've been working here for a long time. Again, we were spoiled because we were doing the shuttle, and we even have to go walk through the parking lot to get to the red bus. So, and it's very nice that the 102 stops right at the front of our door. And we're hoping somehow the red bus will be the same.
I'll let it go to you if I can interject, but I don't have the running time and the geographics of that area of the 2 buses coming around to show that. And
Sure,
I had
so,
already 2 instances.
You have a lot of customers at Kohler, and if you would consider that. Right now, you're losing the customers because they're running through the parking lot and going to the red bus,
Right.
which is hardship for them, additional hardship, especially during the snowstorm and the ice on the parking lot. And on the off shifts, we would like to have you look into how many of your customers you're missing to go into the 102 direction.
If I understand you right, what you're telling me is the bus is not coming to the hospital on certain occasions.
I think this is what I was told, that the bus makes a left.
No, the route is, once it gets on the island, it's right turn of Kohler, goes around through Main Street to the south side of the island, and then turns around and comes back through Main Street, and then off the island. So if you see anybody who sees any bus coming over the island and going left, you give me a bus number, I can take care of that. I can take care of that in a heartbeat. Because the operator's not following the prescribed route.
And guys, just so, if you do observe that, it's important, to keep consistency and to make sure that operators are doing what they're supposed to. My telephone number is 646-252-2675. If you observe that, location, time, date, bus number, and we can get that correct.
So are you assuming, are you volunteering to be the official?
Well, I'm volunteering that. If you
No, but it's good, no, actually it's good if there was one or
Yeah,
people use. Okay.
I'm the superintendent, I'm up here at night, every night.
And who would be the first person that people who see an issue should call? Should it be you?
You can call me, you can call up here and file a complaint, like you normally would.
What?
If you call me and you give me a specific,
Okay.
I will be here to make
That's
sure
good,
that
because
they-
I'm really a go-between. What I'm gonna do is contact road control. And they're gonna-
Right, exactly, and that's
Okay.
no problem, road control.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
So Frank,
I just
Oh,
want
we have a question in the back.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm Gladys Dixon.
Ma'am, can you give us your name, please?
Gladys Dixon.
Gladys, thank you.
I'm a resident of this island since 1975. I would like, you said something about your ridership. I am very much concerned with our seniors and our physically challenged youth. And a lot of times, many of them are afraid to ride the tram. A lot of times when the tram is down, the tram goes down a lot. And also the train. The F train, if I can help it, I will not get on it. But we have a lot of the residents here do not want to get on the train, especially rush hour. And then at the same time, the tram. I think it's misleading if we cut the services or put the services down.
Not gonna do that.
Listen.
That's not gonna happen. That's not
Well,
what I'm
okay,
saying.
well, listen what I'm saying. But at the same time, we have a lot of the seniors that would like to go off the island. And even when they go off, there's always you can transfer over to something else. So we need to really look at that they are here. The physically challenged are here. We're supposed to make whatever possible. They were here before Cornell and everybody else. We need to really look at that and the fact of saying it needs to be a ridership which can make it as comfortable as possible for them. Another concern that I have, I don't like when I've seen recently, I've wanted others to see it too. The bus, when Cola was there, Goldwater was there, the bus would stop right in front of the hospital, and they do right in front of Cola, and they said, I'm on the break. Right in front of the hospital. Now, if you're gonna be on the break, and then at the same time, you got people there waiting to get on the bus, waiting for so long to get on the bus for the drivers to say, I'm on the break.
That's not happening anymore, dear.
Since when?
All the operators have been told that if you do have a break, first of all, they would block both hospitals,
Yes.
okay? So they're told not to stop or lay over in a hospital if you got a break. Normally this would be the West Roadway, when you got towards the end,
Yeah.
there's when you made that right turn to go to the East Roadway, from the East Roadway to the West Roadway,
Yes.
that's very wide at that, where the hospital was. They were told that is their layover area. They're not to lay over in front of the hospitals, either one.
Well, since you're bringing that, I hope I get your telephone number again, but because I see it. Plus, I was very upset last week. We were coming from Cola, and there was a man at the post office waiting for the bus. The driver said to him, I'm on the break. I didn't know whether we're going to get off the bus there. The man wanted to go to the tram. Now, that was a half fare right there. If he'd have gone on the bus, you would still been getting money. But he told him, the man didn't even get on the bus. I was very disgusted in saying, too, that he's only wanting to go from where the post office is to the tram. He had to go there to turn it, but he's going to tell him he's on a break. And I was about to get off. I said, do we get off here? I mean, something like this is very, for the people here on the island. If this is happening, and I know you don't have to tell me it don't happen, I was there.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. What I'm saying is there is no operator that has customers on board, okay, is allowed to take a break anywhere in the middle of the line for any reason. With maybe a minor exception if he has to use a restroom.
Yes, I
Okay?
understand
That I understand. But for anything else, if you guys got a 5-minute break, sorry, this is not the place to take it. You get the customers to where they want to go, and then take a break. This is what the operators are all being told. They were told this before.
So again, this is something that if you observe it and it shouldn't be happening, then we need to address it.
Believe me, if I get your number and I see it,
I'll give you my card.
I'm a senior and I live on the island, but I work in Culver. I'm one of the people that it has to, if I wanted, this winter has been especially brutal. And getting from the red bus to the hospital, I don't see people, it's really a gauntlet. However, sometimes a bunch of us will take the red bus to Aristides, where you can go inside and stand there, wait for the 102 to take you from Aristides to the hospital, just so you don't have to go through that, especially in bad weather. On occasion, sometimes when a 102 and a red bus are arriving in front of Aristides at a similar time, the 102 just goes barreling past us. This happened more than once. I assumed that they figured that they were going to pick, the red bus would pick us up, which is not the point that we paid 10 cents to get up to Aristides. We paid it so we could get the 102 and not have to be slip on the ice and break something or face the bitter wind in getting from over to the hospital. So I just wanted to make you aware.
Well, the speeding issue, I know there was a complaint on it.
Well, he wasn't necessarily speeding, but he,
Right, no, I understand.
He just ignored. There were the last time it happened, there were 6 of us.
Right. And as far as the issue of speeding, that was brought up, it was observed during the day for a couple of days, I think for a week, and at night. And they found no issues with the speeding. Now, in as far as passing a red bus, I mean, an operator's got to be an idiot, to be honest with you, because we're talking a very narrow street. To begin with, there's no reason for any Q102 operator to pass a red bus unless the red bus is there on a break or is there more than 3 or 4 minutes. That's the only time that I would think he would pass a red bus, especially on Main Street.
Well, I think that they're aware, the drivers are aware that people do take the red bus to Aristides.
Right.
And you'll see them, now I'm not a nurse, but these are women who have white pants and white shoes, and they're obviously employees of the hospital waiting for the 102 to go, so they don't have to go through the ice. I'm just saying it does happen.
Okay. That's something that we can keep an eye on.
Okay.
Okay, I just noticed that, except for Frank, everybody who's not at the table up here is not signed in. We need to sign in. So if you could just pass this in, right up in here, it would be great.
I just wanted to follow up on a couple of points about the Queens side service. Yes, it's the case that the interesting parts for island residents here are not the industrial area, over on Vernon Boulevard, but the newly inhabited areas at the end, down by Vernon Jackson, and also up along going up Broadway. So I think it's the Q104, is it?
It's the Q103.
No, that goes up into Broadway. It's
Broadway, I'm sorry, yeah, it is Q104, yes.
Q104, okay. We have infrastructure here, which is the top part of the helix there, and that was built as a transfer point, okay? That if the Q103 comes and does a loop, doesn't go onto the island, but stops there, you got your transfer point to on island, and same for people coming off, that's their transfer point off into the neighborhood. Same with the Q104, it doesn't have to come onto the island, it just comes around, makes the stop there at the top of the helix there. And as long as there's a schedule, then I'm giving you an example of possibilities that where you can extend that kind of service to in both directions without, by just doing a little bit more.
Isn't there a transfer point on Vernon at 36th Avenue?
Yeah, but it just...
For the 103, and because they both stop there.
Yes, not for the 103, yes. But if you notice that restaurant on the corner there, I forgot what, it used to be the pizza shop there, but the one on the southeast corner,
Okay.
okay, they thought they were going to do great business because you had all these residential buildings
Right.
just hundreds of feet away,
Right.
and it's really, mentally, it's a wall there. You're not walking over the bridge, to transfer, at that point, because there's a variety of things in terms of the stuff that you're carrying, whether it's kids or a grocery cart or, that's beyond that. The extra, not having to cross the bridge,
Are you also saying that the REOC should also go up on top of the hill to come back down?
No. You have the transfer point right there. They go down to, it's in the same building. That's where, on the ground level.
Okay.
It's a transfer point.
Okay.
It's intended to be the transportation transfer point.
Okay.
And I'm saying, and you can make use of the top half of that.
Understood.
Okay, and people can connect to the bottom half through, the stairs or the elevator. So it doesn't cause you to change your Q103 route,
Right.
which would deal with the Borden, Vernon,
Right.
crowd or whatever customers.
Yeah.
And also the Q102, Q104, if it came down another 2 or 3 blocks or whatever it is to make the loop there, you have another, connection for the people here, out and there, and also I think as Size pointed out, for the people out there to come here.
Yeah.
What's the full identified name of the Helix? What is that? It's the first one over here.
Runs from 36th Avenue Bridge.
Right.
36
at the
Avenue,
bottom.
but this sounds like a structure, like,
When you come over
Come
the
off
bridge,
the corner.
just before you start the downturn,
Mhm.
it's that helix right there. There's, if you go to the right of it, before you come down the ramp, there's a way to come back out. Into
Right, there's an extra ramp, you don't even go around on the island, just go right around.
okay.
And years ago, when the tram, we didn't have the subway, and when the tram was out of service due to repairs, so it might be out for, in some cases, 6 months at a time, that's where all the buses came to take you into Manhattan then, or whatever, down to Long Island City, because it's a good transportation. There's stuff you can be indoors until the bus comes, and it's ideal for, it just also works for handicap passengers too. Right, because they go straight to the elevator, and so that would be a way, without too much difficulty, of extending the Q, or modifying slightly the Q103 and Q104 service to provide additional capacity. And I think as Cornell comes in, those lines will probably gain more customers, simply because that's really where people want to go. They do want to go into the Steinway, Broadway area, and they do want to go over in the Queens West area at the Vernon Jackson one. Thank you.
Sorry,
Is everybody basically finished? So this is one of the, my daughter's a 4th generation Yorkville. I've been there. I've been in 71st Street like all my life. I was born in New York Hospital. And when I worked for road control, and I got the job with the MTA, it's hard. And I just want to say, for these guys to show up here, and you got road control and you got a schedule department, I think it's pretty good. All right, you're getting somewhere. When I first got here, the Q102 was bad. But if you want to see bad sometimes, go where Memorial Hospital is on York Avenue and 66th Street. And look at that line going around the corner and waiting and seeing these people wait. Go to 79th Street, where I drove as a bus operator for 7 years straight. And also dispatched on York Avenue by Marion and Walsh. 79th Street, every spot. I'm not saying that it's any different, but I'm saying, look at what's going on the other side. You know what I mean? And it's 100% better. All right? People are waiting 5, 7 minutes, especially with your articulated buses coming up. They get into those stops at 14th Street and First Avenue. It takes you a day and a half to get on. All right? But I just wanted to tell you is that these guys have a hard job. You know what I mean? Especially schedules to come out and to talk to people. I know through Broadway. I couldn't get them out. I would have to pull them to get out of there. All right? So I think, especially road control. And this is all you should tell them. There's only 2 of them on the road. When I was a road controller in Manhattan, all right, at a Michael J. Quill depot, we had 12 superintendents on the road. An AGS, and a general superintendent at night, and a general superintendent during the day. All right? So if you want to know about buses, Yorkville, anything you want, I'm the guy. But I can tell you that, you know, it's a lot better. They did a good job when I first got here.
Hey, Jeff, can, you know, if you've got a problem, Jeff,
I'm a product of Lennox Hill Neighborhood House. I worked there 4 years.
You know,
as
you
a
have any
parent
wish
teacher.
list, you may want to just let me know so I can evaluate it. Actually, I want to ask a question because it seems like, from what I've heard, it seems like Queens is getting bus time within the next week or so. I don't know if that's still
Bus
true.
strike.
What'd you say?
You talking about bus strike?
You're talking about bus time with the texting, yeah.
It's-
So is that coming in this weekend?
It's, bus strike's already in effect.
I live in Manhattan.
We're talking about,
On the
guys have
the
Q32
same thing,
route,
right?
but I'm on the Q32 route. It actually, because I live on 59th Street, and so the final stop is right on my block, and the first stop is behind my block, and it goes past both my and my husband's offices. Because if you want to talk about when there's a Queens bus that has desirable destinations, it gets a lot of ridership that's not necessarily, you know, simply there because it's a Queens bus. The Q32 gets a lot of Manhattan ridership, and it has not yet had the ability to text to get the location.
I'll tell you when that's happening.
Okay, because I do think that what I had read about a week or two ago was that it seemed like Queens was getting it borough-wide by
Yeah, I
March
think all
9th.
the boroughs are getting it.
Right,
I don't know the.
I had heard March 9th. I think definitely if that's launching and that usually.
2 weeks. Yes, it's in effect, I'm sure. It's already set up at College Home. That's already in effect.
So
You're talking about bus track where I can pick up a bus and tell you where it's at any
Yes.
particular time. That's in effect already.
So
It's young. It's only about, I'd have to say, no longer than 3 weeks old.
okay. Well, so here's the thing, and certainly in Manhattan when they put it in, and again, I'm not that familiar with the other boroughs' local buses, other than ones that go between Manhattan and Queens, because I have ridden the Q32, the Q60, and the Q10, either 100 or 101, I don't remember which, all within the last month. But you know, for the ones that are the Manhattan routes, they replaced all the lollipop guide rides with the new ones that have the text this number to find out how far away all the buses are. So this seems like a really great opportunity to replace all the guide rides on Roosevelt Island with new Q102 ones, which also tell you you can text this number to find out how far away is the bus. And that may actually be of great use to people on this island. You know,
As compared to bus track.
so I think it's worth trying to find that out.
Just-
Oh, no, yeah, but I think it's two different things, isn't it?
Well, the difference, if I can just say, the difference is that in other parts where the bus service is relatively regular, so I would say like on the order of 10 minutes or less, then finding out when the next bus is one thing. But when you're running at a very infrequent schedule, it's more like scheduling planes, you know.
Right, but it tells you, when you text, like, because I do take the M57, you know, west from, let's say, 2nd Avenue, and that stops, you know, less than a mile from there, what it'll say to you is, the next bus is 2 stops away. The bus after that is 1.2 miles plus layover scheduled to depart terminal at blank time. It actually tells you the next time they're planning to dispatch a bus if it's not already in operation. So in theory, now I know it's, as you say, it's young, it's not perfect, it still has kinks, but I think the point is that it will make it a lot easier for people to know if they know that there's a bus that is listing as 2 miles away, but not, or if the bus is listing as, you know, 1 mile away, they may have a better idea of when to take the elevator downstairs from their apartment. They may have a better idea of, okay, this one is not actually scheduled to depart the terminal for another half hour, you know, whatever it is, it may be very useful, and also give a real opportunity and reason to replace all the guide rides with the new ones with the texting number, you know, the code for that.
Just to tag on because of the guide rides. I mean, the ones that you do have, and you will note. I mean, I think the complaint you're hearing and was raised the last time you all were here is that it should be at every single stop. But having said that, the schedule that's posted that is now on there is not coordinated to where the arrival time should be expected for that stop. It's coordinated as to when the entry time for when the island, mid-island entry into the island will be, and then when the next one is when it's departing. So the scheduling, for example, if you're going on Northern Boulevard and you're riding along those bus stops, the guide rides will tell you exactly it's coming at this time, it's coming at this time, coming at this time. Here you've got summary guide ride that says it's going to enter in front of the post office, and if you're at the Octagon, for example, at the top of the island, you have to factor in, okay, what is that? It says it's going to come in at 5:45, but we are 5, 7 minutes, 10 minutes away. So the expectation there, again, it's all about expectations and the scheduling and understanding when the scheduling is. And in the routes that are very frequent, the guide rides are ultimately very reliable, regardless. You know, that's even along Second Avenue. You know, you still have those, even with traffic times, you have it down to the science. So, I mean, I guess that's the one aspect of the guide ride. Not on top of the standing fact that there should also be included a text message that says that you should be able to do that as well.
I mean, if we talked about it at the last meeting, I have to find out what's going on with the guide ride situation. There may be some weird policy issue. I'll find out about it.
But the bus track thing now works for the.
Well, okay, it's.
Knowing all the, you know, the spill bar, so if I'm interested in finding out.
No, that's where the mistake is. I was under the impression he was talking about bus ride. What he's talking about is customer information at a particular
No, I
bus stop,
understand what
correct?
Jeff's talking about. I
Okay,
accept.
when I say bus track,
Yeah,
I mean it's information for me. If I'm missing a bus, if a bus is late,
Right.
I can call bus track, give them the number of that bus, they can punch it up on the computer, and it'll come up on it. It'll tell me, this particular bus is running 10 minutes late, and he's at, he's at 36th Avenue, or 30th Avenue and Vernon Boulevard.
That's an internal.
Exactly.
But it's similar to bus time. You know, you can go on the website and put it in, and it'll actually show you where the buses are along the route and give you approximate distances. So it's similar.
I think that the bus time is supposed to launch this weekend.
okay, so the ability for someone to go online and find out where a particular bus on a particular route is not available yet?
It is in Brooklyn, Manhattan. I have to find out about the other boroughs. I know it's imminent,
Okay,
you know, and
That'd be
if
great.
they have bus track, it's possible that it's already out there, but I don't know the date, so I have
if you
to
could
find
just
out.
let us know when it will be, and we can let people know as
Sure.
much as that, and that'd be great. Terrific. Anybody else on the board with a question?
Ursula has a question.
I know that because one of the employees has a phone, and because I asked him, when's the bus coming, and he does this, and he tells me about 10 minutes to get down to the stop. So it's probably already available.
It looks like there was an announcement last week that, as I understand it, MTA officially announced that bus time would be launching on March 9th in the remaining boroughs. So in theory, this weekend it's going to be, because when I go look at the on-the-go MTA website, if you put in a queue, the only route that pops up is the Q50, nothing else is an option right now. But according to the agency's announcement, it's supposed to change this weekend. So although with a smartphone you may be able to find out the scheduled time, the bus time, which tells you how far away the buses are, because they aren't predicting how fast traffic is, but it at least gives you some gauge, and it can actually help you make a decision about whether it's worth it to wait for the bus or not. You know, it's not perfect, but it is definitely relatively, it's certainly a big step forward for me as a bus rider in Manhattan, and I'm sure it will be somewhat helpful here.
Okay, any, Ed?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. What's the ridership on the Q102 out here?
I was looking for the ridership numbers. By the time I got around to it today, everybody was gone, but I can find it out.
Okay. And the other question I had was, so with Cornell Tech coming online, and it's going to be here a while, what's the, how does that affect your life running a bus on Main Street?
The plan is,
with
the way Cornell's
trucks,
going to be doing the work, they're going to be, as you know, they're going to be barging off materials from the existing buildings there. I don't know if it's the east or the west side. On the other side, Cornell's going to build us a layup and a turnaround. So once they are finished constructing whatever they have to construct, we're gonna be going all the way down to the park and turning around there. So that is the plan right now.
Which is essentially no different than before while Coldwater was on.
Well, it used to go
Exactly.
all the way
Exactly.
around,
But then
it's
you
gonna
just,
be.
right,
smaller.
go, you're gonna go around.
Right.
So it's just gonna shorten the route, kind of abbreviate it.
I guess in terms of.
Well, you're not showing, the only difference you're making is you're using one roadway both to the South Island and then back out. And as Si said over there before, we have to look at that issue because of the narrow roadway.
Right.
We got two vehicles going in opposite directions, especially two buses.
But you won't be having the Coldwater traffic.
No, I understand it, but it's not so much traffic as it is the roadway itself.
And then,
It's very, very narrow.
and what I was concerned is, and then you're gonna be factoring the trucks because they're barging off, but what about getting on? Right, they're not barging everything on and off, right? That's not.
Everything's
right?
being on.
Well, for the,
Off.
and for the demolition phase, at least, everything will be going off by barge.
Okay.
And any stuff that they need during demolition will be coming on by barge. So, and that's gonna be,
Good.
I guess, at least a year or
That's
so.
not construction, that's demolition.
Right, that's demolition, please.
Yeah, so,
And I'm sure as the plan, goes forward, we'll have to make adjustments.
Because I was gonna say, you have the trucks and then you have the buses and it's a narrow roadway.
Yeah, right now we have to, I just found out today that there's some clearance issues with what we have set up now, so we have to look at it, and I don't know if Cornell can give us some more space. Because if it's not safe, we're probably not gonna do it, so we have to look at it.
It's actually just a hair longer with the single roadway because they actually have to make a turnaround and they can't make that turnaround at the same speed that they would be doing other turns.
So it's not that, it's the roadway north and south.
I know, I understand that, but in addition to that, even if you had a wide roadway, it still would be about a minute longer because of the turnaround.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for coming. Leah and the Kohler has a big problem. I mean, they have staff. They have to get their staff to work in the morning. They come on the subway. They come early. They come 5, 6, 7, early in the morning. And it's darn hard to take the red bus up to Octagon and then walk through the icy parking lots to get to the main door. Heaven forbid they open up an A-wing door there for the staff. That's all wrong. And also that, there's a lot of people coming. There are over 1,000 employees a day go there. And that you're really losing, you're losing business. And also coming home at night, they want to get out of the hospital and go home. And so if there was a way that you could switch at least the afternoon so that they could go from, what do we say? Switch it so that
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, the bus would first go
South.
and then come up to Kohler and go down, it would be better. Secondly, I've seen some very rude bus drivers because they don't like taking the people from Kohler in wheelchairs. And there was an absolutely thoroughly obnoxious guy who yelled at this poor woman, "I'm not touching that wheelchair, I'm not allowed to touch your wheelchair." And the woman, she was at the end of the curb, so there was no curb. All he had to do was say, courteously, let me move the bus. All he had to do was move it 3 or 4 feet so there was a curb so he could lower the ramp. But I know some of the residents there are not the nicest people in the world, but most of them are, and especially this time of year, there are very few riding the buses, but I have seen absolutely disgusting behavior from your bus drivers. Oh, you're taking the wheelchair people. And the residents have the right to ride the buses, and they should not be abused, and they should not have this attitude of some of the drivers that they're not, that they're not courteous. And especially when I saw this poor woman, she didn't know she was in the wrong place. And this attitude, I can't touch you. There's a way to explain to people that you're not supposed to push their wheelchair or assist them. I don't know what the real rule is, but to yell at passengers is completely unacceptable. And also they stop in front of the hospital because it's a pit stop, and I know you gotta go. But if they stop for 2 minutes, it's different than stopping for 10.
Right.
And they still do sometimes.
Again, like I said, if you see anybody stop there, give my card, call me, let me know.
We're gonna give it to the
I'm here
security
at 9.
desk. We're gonna give it to the guys at the front desk and they can
Yeah,
watch.
that's fine, you can do that, that's fine. I'm here, like I said, I work at nights, I'm here on the island at least once a night. And I'm here for anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes to even an hour and a half, just to what you want to do, see what happens.
How often do you service cola when the midnight staff gets out?
That I couldn't tell you anything, myself. I don't know what the schedule is.
Or
as
there
of
very
yet,
few
if there is any.
that wait for the bus at midnight?
No, there's still few that wait for the
You know, it's really, and the tram, our bus only runs what? One bus at midnight?
One bus, it's all right.
At midnight.
Every 15 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
so they
2:30 in the morning, you got great service going on.
No, but you really don't want to walk through the parking lot to get to the Octagon for the red bus. You know.
One, could I please just back Ms. Birdie on something? Several times, and it used to be that you could call. We need some reliable buses, just like we said, the residents up there can be waiting forever for a bus. When the bus comes, regardless if something's wrong with the officer's driver, the lift's not working. The lift's not working, then you're gonna have to wait again, whatever period of time it is for another bus. Only for it to be full or whatever, no, we can't put you on behalf. But this is a concern, that if we're gonna have reliable buses that should be ready for those that are physically challenged, that need wheelchairs or whatever. Because you can be standing up there waiting and the wheelchairs can be 2 or 3 due to the fact the lift's not working. And I think if we're gonna do some consideration, make sure we got some reliable buses.
On a related note, and again, I'm not as familiar with the Q12, do these tend to be some of the older buses where it's a rear-loading wheelchair, or is it a mix?
Some of them, they still have, like Water Depot still has a few, quite a few as a matter of fact, that are rear loaders.
I bring this up because, Marcus, you're gonna hear this from me when we next discuss the M31 bus, but I've had some comments that for routes that do have hospitals, that there really should be a concerted effort whenever possible to provide the front-loading buses where the wheelchair lift is that simple, more reliable, it just unfolds, it's much easier to get. And I think that there should be a consideration for, the higher incidence perhaps of wheelchair users on a route or people with other mobility impairments, and I certainly think that a route on Roosevelt Island should be viewed in that way, as a route where you really want to prioritize the availability of a front wheelchair load as opposed to a rear wheelchair load, because it's quicker, it's efficient, it seems not to break down as often. They seem like, and they're low floor in general, which is also just better for a population with disabilities and mobility impairments. So if you guys could try to keep that in mind, I think that will actually help with ridership, because people will feel more comfortable relying on the bus. And a comment that we got actually in a very unrelated topic about accessible pedestrian signals, but a woman came to talk about the fact that, back when she was able-bodied and she saw them start to put the lifts onto the bus, and she thought, why are they bothering with all this money to put the lifts on the buses? Because nobody uses them. And then suddenly all these people materialize who, she'd never seen before. So the point is that there may be a population that wants to ride but just doesn't trust it, to be reliable enough, not just reliable in schedule, but reliable that they'll be able to get on. So I think that point is very well taken.
Okay, I can tell you for a fact that 31 is perfect. I'll be quite frank with you. The 66 is perfect for wheelchairs. The 31 is perfect. You got the 72. Mary Manning Walsh used to have the 30. You got more than that for Apple now. And they're going on. I see them every morning. And I see the wheelchair ramps coming out. I know they're doing a good job over there.
I think we need to consider here on the island where we are, not over wherever.
Well, we brought that up. We brought that up.
Well,
As soon as I started talking, I said that. We're not comparing Roosevelt Island to Manhattan. It's general conversation.
Okay, Jeff has a couple of questions, I think, then after that we'll sort of like wrap off.
Yeah. So one comment I would say is that, like I said earlier, in the spring we will be having CPC will be coming back, transportation committee will be coming back with their recommendations off of their study. So if we may, as our committee may extend to the MTA to attend that as well, just so that you're able to, along with the transportation committee obviously, but so that you can see the results of that, because we had quite a few public comments from that when it was here on the island, and one would like to see what the final report is, and then be able for you all to be able to take it directly. The second, I guess the big concern that we had last time was that the comment again was made by the MTA, the ridership and the frequency was low. And the reason, when we questioned for the methodologies, the reason being is that they were counting based upon, service onto the island and off the island versus inter-island accounting and frequency was not part of, would not basically not be a counted number. And so I guess the question that I have is, has the MTA changed that frequency, or has that changed that methodology, or is it still that same methodology as?
No, I think it's the same methodology. I mean, the Q102's primary function is to provide service on and off the island. The red bus service provides an intra-island service. So I don't believe that methodology has changed.
Is there any hearing the issues that we have here now is to say, the individuals who are still willing to pay the full fare to use the Q102 to go from one to the north side to the south side of the island, will the MTA at all, or will they be willing to change the methodology at least to determine what the frequency or a frequency would be?
No, just to be honest with you, I doubt that they would do that based on the comments that I've heard here tonight. But